My family is pressuring me to give up my wedding venue to my younger pregnant sister because they claim she needs it more than me. When I got engaged to my husband, Michael, I was over the moon. I had spent months planning every detail of our big day. The venue, the flowers, the food. Everything was finally falling into place. But then, my family, especially my younger sister Sophia, turned what should have been a joyful time into a complete nightmare. Sophia had always been the center of attention. She was the baby of the family, spoiled, and used to getting her way. So when I announced my wedding date, I guess it was only a matter of time before she found a way to make it about her. And she did, by announcing her pregnancy just a few weeks later. At first, I was happy for her. I thought maybe this would be a fresh start for her after her breakup with her fiancé. But it wasn't long before her pregnancy became the focus of every family conversation. My wedding plans completely overshadowed. The real trouble started when my parents called me one evening. My mom said, "Emma, your dad and I think it would be best if you let Sophia use your wedding venue for her baby shower. She really needs this right now." I was stunned. My venue? The one Michael and I had worked so hard to secure. I tried to explain that everything was already booked and paid for, but my mom didn't care. "Sophia needs it more than you," she said. My dad chimed in, calling me selfish for not thinking about my sister's struggles. It didn't stop there. My parents, Sophia, and even some extended family started calling and messaging me nonstop, pressuring me to give up my venue. Sophia sent me guilt-tripping texts, saying I didn't care about her or her baby. The stress became unbearable. I had to block my parents and delete my social media because the harassment was relentless. My only support came from Michael, his family, and my brother Luke, who thankfully saw how ridiculous the situation was. But as much as I tried to focus on my wedding, the constant pressure from my family left me feeling hurt and betrayed. I missed the support I thought I'd have, and I had no idea how much worse things would get. After the heated argument with my parents, I knew that things were only going to get worse. The bitterness in their voices and the unrelenting demands had shown me how deep their favoritism for my sister ran. They were willing to sacrifice my happiness, my future, and my plans just to cater to her impulsiveness. Blocking their numbers was one of the hardest decisions I had ever made, but I knew it was the only way to regain some peace of mind. At first, it felt strange not having any communication with them. There were moments when I would instinctively pick up my phone to text my mom about wedding updates, only to remember that we were no longer on speaking terms. But the silence became a blessing in disguise. I focused on my relationship with my fiancé, Daniel, and leaned heavily on the unwavering support of his family and my younger brother, Ethan. Ethan had been my rock through all of this. Unlike our parents, he saw through our sister's manipulative behavior. "You're not in the wrong, Sarah," he told me one evening over coffee. "You deserve this day. You've worked hard for it, and no one should take that from you." His words kept me grounded. In the days leading up to the wedding, I was still bombarded with online harassment. My sister's friends, and even some distant relatives, took it upon themselves to flood my social media with hateful messages. They called me selfish, heartless, and accused me of tearing the family apart. It was exhausting, and after a week of enduring it, I made the decision to deactivate my accounts. I wasn't going to let their negativity ruin one of the most important moments of my life. But the real turning point came when my grandmother, Nan, showed up at my doorstep. She had always been the matriarch of our family, the glue that held us all together. I'll admit, seeing her standing there with tears in her eyes made me waver for a moment. "Sarah," she began softly, "can we talk?" We sat down in my living room, and for the first time, I let out all the frustration I had been holding in. I told her how betrayed I felt, How unfair it was that my sister's irresponsibility was being prioritized over my wedding, and how hurtful it was to be painted as the villain in my own family. To my surprise, Nan listened. Oh, she didn't interrupt or try to defend anyone. When I was finished, she sighed and said, "I still don't understand why you couldn't switch dates, but I don't want to lose you. I want to be there for you, Sarah." Her words meant a lot, but I knew that our relationship had been strained. I told her she was welcome to come to the wedding if she truly supported me, but I needed her to respect my boundaries. She agreed, and we shared a tentative hug. It wasn't the reconciliation I had hoped for, but it was a step forward. As the wedding day drew closer, the excitement started to overshadow the drama. My bridesmaids threw me an incredible bachelorette party, filled with laughter, good food, and a much-needed break from the chaos. Daniel surprised me with a heartfelt letter the night before the wedding, reminding me of why we were doing this in the first place. His words were a reminder that no matter what happened, we had each other, and that was all that truly mattered. But just when I thought the worst was behind me, my sister decided to make one last attempt at ruining my day. The morning of my wedding was everything I had dreamed of. The sun was shining, the air was crisp, and I was surrounded by my closest friends and loved ones. My bridesmaids and I spent hours getting ready, sipping Prosecco, and sharing stories. My dress fit me perfectly, and when I looked in the mirror, I felt radiant. For the first time in weeks, I allowed myself to feel nothing but joy. But, as if on cue, my sister managed to turn up like a storm cloud on an otherwise perfect day. We had arrived at the venue, and I was taking before pictures with my friends in the garden when I saw her car pull up. My heart dropped. I could see her stepping out, her face twisted in anger, and I immediately knew she wasn't there to apologize or make peace. She was there to make a scene. As she stormed toward us, screaming insults, I felt frozen. She called me every name in the book, blaming me for her breakup and her ruined life. Her words stung, but I refused to let her see how much they hurt me. "Get security," one of my bridesmaids whispered urgently, and another friend quickly ran to fetch the guard we had hired for the day. My sister, clearly unhinged, kept shouting as she got closer. "You selfish, filthy bitch," she screamed. "You stole everything from me." I stood my ground, refusing to engage, but then I saw her bend down. It happened so quickly. She grabbed a handful of mud from the damp ground, ready to throw it at me and ruin my dress. I gasped, bracing for impact, but before she could, my maid of honor sprinted toward her like an athlete on a mission. She shoved my sister just hard enough to send her stumbling backward, and to everyone's shock, and maybe a bit of satisfaction, she fell right into a patch of muddy flowers. By the time the security officer arrived, my sister was sitting there covered in dirt, screaming like a toddler throwing a tantrum. He escorted her off the property, and as she was dragged away, she shouted, "This isn't over, Sarah. You'll regret this." I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. My maid of honor put a comforting arm around me. "She's not worth it," she said. And she was right. I refused to let my sister ruin this day for me. With that, we moved on. The ceremony was everything I had hoped for and more. My brother, Ethan, walked me down the aisle, and as I looked into Daniel's eyes, all the stress and chaos melted away. Our vows were heartfelt, and there wasn't a dry eye in the room. I married my best friend, my rock, and the love of my life. The reception was just as magical. Daniel surprised everyone with a choreographed dance to a Taylor Swift song with his groomsmen, and the speeches had everyone in stitches. We laughed, we cried, and we celebrated the start of our new life together. For the first time in weeks, I felt a sense of peace. My sister's antics couldn't touch the happiness I felt that day. After the wedding, I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. The day had been perfect, despite my sister's attempt to sabotage it. For the first time in what felt like forever, I could breathe again. Daniel and I left for our honeymoon the very next day, and it was exactly what we needed. We spent 2 blissful weeks, exploring gorgeous beaches, eating incredible food, and simply enjoying each other's company. No phone calls, no social media, no drama. It was just us, and it reminded me of why I had fought so hard to protect our special day. When we returned, reality hit me like a wave. I had missed a lot during those 2 weeks, and not all of it was good news. My sister, unsurprisingly, had continued her campaign against me. She went around telling anyone who would listen that I had ruined her life. According to her, I was the reason her fiancé left her, and I was spreading lies to tarnish her reputation. None of it was true, of course, but I knew she was grasping at straws to save face. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she had moved back in with my parents and was refusing to work. Apparently, she had become so unbearable that even my parents were at their wits' end. My Nan stopped one day to update me on the family drama. "They look exhausted," she said, shaking her head. "Your sister is acting like a spoiled child, and they don't know how to handle her. It's like their bad parenting has finally caught up with them." I couldn't help but feel a small pang of satisfaction. For so long, my parents had enabled my sister's behavior, always putting her needs above everyone else's. Now, they were reaping what they had sown. Still, as much as I wanted to focus on the future, I couldn't completely shake the past. I decided it was time to make a clean break. I started looking for jobs in a new city, somewhere I could start fresh, without the constant reminders of the drama. I got lucky. Within a few weeks, I landed a position at a university in a bigger city. It felt like a sign, a chance to build a new life with Daniel and leave the toxicity behind. The move was hectic, but it was also exciting. Daniel and I found a beautiful apartment close to my new workplace, and the idea of starting over filled me with hope. I was finally creating the life I had always dreamed of, a life that was mine and mine alone. But the biggest surprise of all came a few weeks after the move. One morning, I woke up feeling a little off. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something felt different. Daniel joked that it was probably just the stress of the move, but deep down, I knew it was more than that. A trip to the doctor confirmed it. I was pregnant. It was the classic honeymoon baby cliché, and we couldn't have been happier. We hadn't planned to start a family so soon, but the news filled me with an overwhelming sense of joy. For the first time, I felt like everything was falling into place. We decided to keep the news to ourselves for a while, not wanting to jinx anything, but I couldn't help but feel excited about the future. Despite all the chaos and heartbreak, I had come out on the other side, stronger and happier than ever. As the weeks went by, I felt myself slowly but surely letting go of the past. My new job was keeping me busy, and Daniel and I were settling into our new life together. Every day felt like a step closer to the happiness and peace I had always wanted. But no matter how much I tried to move forward, there was still a part of me that felt the sting of what I had lost. I had cut off most of my family after the wedding, and while I didn't regret it, the emptiness lingered. My parents hadn't tried to reach out since the restraining order against my sister was finalized, and to be honest, I was relieved. I knew they were still enabling her behavior, letting her live with them rent-free while she refused to get her life together. Nan, on the other hand, had become a surprising source of support. After our conversation before the wedding, she seemed to understand the damage my family's actions had caused. She visited us a few times at our new place, bringing homemade treats and asking how we were settling in. "I'm proud of you, Sarah," she told me one evening over tea. "It's not easy to stand your ground, especially against family. But you did the right thing." Her words meant more to me than she probably realized. For so long, I had doubted myself, wondering if I was being selfish for putting my happiness first. But hearing her validation helped me see that I wasn't the problem. My family's toxic dynamic was. Still, I couldn't ignore the occasional updates I received about my sister. She was continuing to blame me for everything wrong in her life, from her failed engagement to her inability to hold down a job. According to Nan, my parents were at their breaking point, but they couldn't bring themselves to confront her. "She's like a ticking time bomb," Nan said with a sigh. "Your mom and dad are exhausted, but they don't know how to handle her. They created this mess, and now they're stuck with it." Hearing that didn't bring me any satisfaction. If anything, it made me sad. Sad that my parents couldn't see how their actions had hurt, not just me, but themselves as well. Sad that my sister was so consumed by her own bitterness that she couldn't take responsibility for her life. But as much as it hurt, I knew it wasn't my problem anymore. I had spent too much of my life trying to please people who would never be satisfied, and I wasn't going to fall into that trap again. Daniel and I focused on preparing for the baby. We spent weekends setting up the nursery, picking out tiny clothes, and debating baby names. Every time I felt a flutter in my stomach, I was reminded of the new life we were creating, a life full of love and possibility. One evening, as we sat on the couch surrounded by baby books, Daniel took my hand. "I know it's been hard cutting ties with your family," he said softly. "But look at what we've built, Sarah. This is our family now, and I promise I'll always put you and our baby first." His words brought tears to my eyes. For so long, I had felt like I was fighting alone. But with Daniel by my side, I knew I had someone who truly had my back. The final straw came a few weeks later, when I received an unexpected message from a distant cousin. She had heard about my pregnancy through the grapevine and wanted to congratulate me. But she also included a warning. My sister was spreading rumors that I had gotten pregnant to steal attention from her. At that moment, I realized just how far gone my sister was. No amount of reasoning or apologies would ever change her mindset. She was stuck in a cycle of blame and resentment, and I refused to let her drag me down with her. I blocked the cousin's number and made a vow to myself. My focus would be on the people who truly cared about me, not the ones who thrived on drama and toxicity. I had a wonderful husband, a baby on the way, and a bright future ahead of me. My family may have turned their backs on me, but I wasn't alone. I had built a new family, one rooted in love, respect, and trust. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. Looking back on everything, I can finally say, I've found peace. My wedding wasn't just the start of my marriage. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one where I put myself first. Cutting ties with my family was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but it was also the most liberating. Now, I'm surrounded by love. I have an incredible husband who supports me through everything, a baby on the way who has already filled my heart with joy, and a future that I'm genuinely excited about. My past may have shaped me, but it doesn't define me anymore. To anyone out there dealing with toxic family dynamics, remember, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to protect your happiness and prioritize your well-being. You deserve a life filled with people who uplift you, not tear you down. And for all of you who've supported me, thank you. Your words of encouragement, advice, and kindness have been a light in some of my darkest moments. I truly appreciate every single one of you. If you enjoyed this story or found it inspiring, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support means the world to me, and I can't wait to share more updates and stories with you. Until next time, take care and remember, You deserve happiness, no matter what.